Hey, it's Bill, and I am going to confuse you a little bit. This is episode 130 of Three Questions and a Song, even though it says the Pennsylvania Rock Show. Um, we had some technical difficulties. This is like take three, and it's going to work this time. With me this evening on Three Questions and a Song is Woody Bradshaw, and I'm going to throw him off by asking completely different questions again.
No, I had them all memorized. Don't do it.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of the ones I asked.
I'm good. I'm fresh. Give me some more.
Okay. So first of all, we've done this. This will be the third time, but please tell everybody a little bit about yourself, the genre you play, and how you ended up there. And I'm just going to throw in the New York, the LA, and the Nashville, and you can explain what I mean by that.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And it was good talking to you prior to actually talking here. Even though it's been a stressful situation, you're in for a bit there. So anyway, yeah, my name is Woody Bradshaw, and I'm in the country genre, I guess you would say. And I've had a record deal before in that genre, but I was raised on rock and roll, and my brother was like a big singer-songwriter fan, so I was raised on all the great James Taylor and Carole Kings, and then my mom raised me on her kind of style, which was more Barbra Streisand, and so I had an eclectic beginning, and no one even knew I sang or had this musical interest because I was into sports and all that. And so when I found it, I went to country because that was kind of the last place of pop, melody and lyric, storytelling. And so that's what I'm in now. And but I write outside of country. I write like pop ballads as well, and crossover quite a bit. And some of it melds to today, country and pop. But I do like deeper kind of lyrics, as far as it's not, when I say pop, I don't mean like, superficial stuff. I like the deep kind of lyrical stuff. Yeah, that's how I am. I'm a fan of the traditional country. That's why again, I did that out of necessity, as far as that genre, because I really wasn't a huge country fan, to be honest, except the old school. And then when I found out I could write for my voice, and I had people that were interested in my music, because when I first started, it was very much Woody music. I was learning to write, and I had a point of view, and it was just, I wrote what I felt. And so when I went to Nashville, there is a structure, and people were like, "We love this, but we don't know what to do with it. Would you be open to writing with, our writers at our publishing house?" And I was like, "Sure." And I was like, "But I'm not country." I was defiant. And then they were like, "Okay, whatever. Do you want to write with them or not?" I was like, "Yeah." So I wrote with them. And when I did that, then, I started seeing somebody else's point of view, which was really cool. And then I thought, yeah, I can do this. We started writing, because they were writing for me as an artist. And so we started writing country stuff, but it was very fresh, and it was in my wheelhouse of what the story I wanted to tell, that wasn't so country 101. And I'm not dissing country. I love country music now, as far as, well, I like certain country music, but I don't like what you're talking about too, the certain superficial kind of country. But yeah, I love pop music, and I love like lyrical, like a James Taylor song could have been pop, but it's lyrical. And Keith Urban, even, his older stuff did that too, like the ballads, especially like "You'll Think of Me," you know.
So on the one sheet, which I don't have open right now, but it talks about you being on a tennis team and
Yeah, I told you I lived in Pennsylvania when I was young. When we weren't on air, we were talking. And I lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for 7 years. And that's where I got into sports, football. I was the quarterback. And, we were going to move back to Pensacola in my freshman year, which is a terrible time to move, by the way. And, and I was like king of the junior high, I was quarterback, and I was going to be the high school quarterback, it looked like. So when I came down here, I just thought, okay, I'll be the quarterback down there. No big deal. Well, they already had me down here, somebody else. So I just joined I quit football. I tried out and I thought they don't get me. They don't, and I was new and I was a freshman too. So you're not even you're looked down on as a freshman. So I found tennis like my uh, 11th grade. And so, yeah, I wasn't any good. I just made it by default, basically. So I was number 6 on the team, or number 8. And they needed 6 to play. But my best friend was number 1. And so that next summer before senior year, we played all summer together. And I had a tennis court right next to me. My friends had a tennis court that we just used all the time. So he and I played all summer. And the next year I was number 2. So yeah, I was just waiting for that sport. And then I got mad at my dad for not introducing me to it when I was little. I was like, what were you thinking? I could have been a pro. And so anyway, yeah. And then I got a scholarship to a little school in Alabama close by in Pensacola. And yeah, it was just a great, and then my grades got better. I mean, I barely got a scholarship because of my grades. I had no interest because I didn't, I was not playing football. I wasn't that popular in the first couple of years because I was a freshman. Nobody knew me. So yeah, by senior year, I was like, I got a scholarship. So I did really well in college, academically pretty well for me. And then I found theater in junior college, and then went to Florida State and got into theater. And the rest is history. I went to New York as an actor first. So I wasn't always a musician. That came later. No one in my family even knew that I had that in me. That was my brother's. My big brother was the Elton John of the family. He was played piano and could, great singer. So I just sang along with him. And then this thing was just kind of hidden in me, waiting to come out. So New York, huh? Yeah, it was kind of pretty magical in New York. I went to Florida State and got this BFA program, and then went to New York to see what it'd be like when I graduated the next year. And my parents had these friends who lived there, and they were big wigs. They knew all these, famous people, and they knew this big producer. I'm sorry, a manager, and he managed Al Pacino and Raquel Welch, and so I got a meeting with him, and he did the whole, oh my God, Rob Lowe, he did the, you got it, kid. And he actually took me on. He said, but his one advice, I said, well, I have another year at Florida State, so I'll be back here next year for good. He goes, well, do you want to teach acting? I said, no. I said, I want to act. He goes, well, the best schools are here. He said, you won't get a degree, but you'll get the best acting teachers in the world here. He said, at Florida State, you can get a degree and you'll become an acting teacher. So anyway, that was all it took. And I didn't finish. I moved up, like 3 months later, and I got on a soap like immediately. And when I got on the soap, then I was fearless. So I went up for these auditions for commercials, feeling so great. I think that's what got me to commercials. I just didn't care. And I think that shows you're not desperate. And so I got a Carnation and a Downy within a week of each other. And so that was a grand year. The first, I thought it was always going to be that easy too. And then that manager didn't work out, but then I got Tom Cruise's manager, heard about me through this agent that I had. And then so I went with him, and they, saw big things with me, and he pulled me from that soap to go to LA to do, acting in film. And then the rest is history as far as finding my music there. That's when I kind of went inward and I started writing poetry and kind of, I was growing up, and I had all these thoughts. And then the poetry went into, I think I can write a song. And I saw Jimmy Webb, who was, he wrote for Glenn Campbell. And my mom loved him. She raised me on him. He was a writer, Jimmy Webb. He wasn't a singer, but he wrote Wichita Lineman. By the time I get to Phoenix, he wrote Up, Up and Away for the Fifth Dimension. And I saw him at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and it changed my life. I saw him and I was like, I can do that. It's like a song is 4 minutes long and it has an arc. I knew it from drama. I just knew how it worked, but I just had this fearlessness that I could feel that music was in me. I love New York. New York was such a, it's such a fishbowl, but it's so big, and it's so vast and scary. But I loved it. It was like you're at war. Every morning you woke up, you heard all these noises and sounds and, cabs honking. And so you wake up and it startles you. But I got like a thrill out of it because I thought it's war. You either win or you die. And so I went out with that kind of attitude. And that's where I found God of all places. I went to a church. Those people I told you that I went to visit who introduced me to the manager, they lived there. And so they asked me to go to church with them. And it was Norman Vincent Peale. He wrote, those famous books, Power of Positive Thinking, which were very palatable for if you don't know anything about God. They're just like Reader Digest of good stories, and they sprinkle God in there. But it changed my life going there. At first, I didn't want to go, and then I couldn't get enough of it. So I got his books, and that was part of my, I think a part of my why I did so well right away. I was just like fearless, and I had all this belief, and I was just shiny. And so that's how I got all that success immediately. And then I went to LA, and all that went away. I got in my head, and I didn't like LA. It was so big, and it didn't feel like a city. It just felt like endless people, and it just never ended. And there wasn't much soul to me there. I mean, had beautiful things about it, but it just was not home for me. And I should have left earlier, but then this music thing came along, and that's when I knew that I needed to go to Nashville. First, it was closer to home, Pensacola, but also I thought I just was homesick, and I'd been to Nashville, and I thought that would be a cool spot, and plus my music I knew was would be more acceptable. Like I'm a melody guy, I love lyrics, and that's what Nashville's all about. It's a lyric town and storytelling. So it was a good fit for me.
So I told you I would ask some of the questions that I asked the first two times, but I'm going to start with one that I haven't asked.
By the way, I need to preface, my stories were better the first time we did this. I've lost my mojo. No, hopefully not.
So this one, I want you to think about a time you were on stage that it went badly, and tell us about what happened.
I already know the story. Yeah.
And for you, it could be acting, it could be music. You have some options.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then how about one for both?
Okay.
When I was acting, I had this scene. I had these very sweaty hands. I have it's called hyperhidrosis. You can't see, but I mean, my hands sweat profusely when I drink coffee. They'll just drip down and so it's kind of gross. Sorry about that. You probably didn't need that information, but there it is. And I was in this scene with a girl in a car in the soap I was in. And, it's supposed to be kind of intimate, we're driving, but we're talking, and I'm touching on her, and all of a sudden she's like, "Can y'all get him a rag or something?" Because you have all these big hot lights on you, and plus, I was still a newbie, and so I was nervous at that time anyway, just being on set, and I was just profusely sweating, and she was like, "Can y'all get him a rag?" And I got so self-conscious. I mean, I remember even the dialogue. I remember pausing, and they put like a sound effect because I lost my line, and a headlight across my face. But that was really embarrassing. That was one of those scenes where I wanted to forget that day. And then the other one, when I was cutting my teeth in Nashville, just still bumping around, I was telling you about with songwriters, and I was doing rounds around town. With this guitar player I was telling you about, I went up there and I had somebody coming to watch me. It was like an important one, like I think management. And my guitar broke, the string broke, and then I didn't have an extra one.
I don't know anything about things going wrong.
Yeah. This might be your day, right?
Yeah. So,
And
so we've been kind of skipping around here. We did this. We started. It did like 3 minutes. Had to start over, and then we did 45 minutes, and it didn't record anything I said. So that's what we keep referring to.
yeah, now we're both punch drunk. So, but yeah, he had to restring my guitar as they all waited, because I didn't have an extra guitar back then, and it did not go well. This was not my best show, and I didn't get that manager, but I got a big record deal the next year, so that worked out.
So it worked out.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna do a different movie question. We're not gonna do the Back to the Future one. We're gonna do Forrest Gump. So you sit down on a bench, with your box of chocolates, and you happen to sit down next to one of your musical idols, and you want to start that long conversation like Forrest had, but you want it to be meaningful with this idol. What is that first question you're going to ask them, and who are you sitting next to?
Well, those are you've some toughies. These are one you'd rather sit with for 5 minutes. Let's see here. Well, no, it'd have to be the king. It'd have to be Elvis. I mean, I love that.
I avoided this line earlier, but movies, Elvis didn't die. He just went back to his home planet. Sorry, I had to say it. I held it in the first time. That one's from Men in Black, in case you didn't know.
Oh. Yeah, well, I believe that. That could very well be, because he was not earthly. He was something else. And when I was little, I remember seeing This Is Elvis, and I just was crying, and he's just still bigger than life. It's just one of those things where time, time shows you how important certain figures are, in all different aspects, and leaders, but musical talent, like a Michael Jackson's another one. And what question would I ask Elvis? Let's see. Do you regret doing those drugs?
Oh.
Do you regret all those pills? Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know what I'd ask him, but it's too bad. That's the shame about somebody like that, and other, big stars, rock stars who face that same fate. Is that kind of pressure. I think when you're that big and not knowing how to deal with it. Who is great? Actually, I'll change that. Paul McCartney, because I think he's a living legend, and that's tough to be with as big as they were, and to stay like a sane human later in life throughout. And he seems so grounded as he's older, and I think because he does have like a life, children, family. And
So
I think he lives life in the present.
Who's your Dave Grohl? And by that, I mean, who do you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their songs?
Train, Drops of Jupiter. And yeah, I love Pat Monahan. And I was saying, I love that song. That song really resonates with me. I don't know why. It has to do with his mom. That's, it's about his mother. It's not a love song. A lot of people always try to uncover that mystery, but it was about his mom who had cancer. And he woke up the night of her funeral, in the middle of the night, with that line, "Now that she's back in the atmosphere, drops of Jupiter in her hair." And I just love that song. And my mom and dad, when I started playing that, they both were like, "Play that at our funeral." I was like, "Don't be morbid about it. Just enjoy the song." So I started ending my show with that song. And I met Pat concert, like we got backstage, and I'd love to write with him. I'd love to open for those guys. If you're listening, he's a PA boy too. I think he's Pittsburgh guy.
So maybe someone that watches the show will know him, and that connection can happen. I unfortunately don't.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm open for business.
And if that does happen, he should come on my show.
There you go. Yeah.
So we'll get us both the hookup.
But I would be a good fit for their show, even though I'm more in the country, because my country lends itself to more what they do. My stuff is, I wouldn't call it pure country at all. It's very, It's for people who don't think they like country as well as people who do. And that goes to my newest patriotic anthem I just wrote. It's very, it's in the country genre, and it's got all the arrangement in country, but it's a full on, just straight out like a anthem that I'd call pop as well as country. It crosses.
Um, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do that,
I jumped the gun. I'm sorry.
what in the last version of this episode, we did the DeLorean question where you got to go back in time. So you still have the DeLorean because I haven't taken it back from you yet.
Thank you.
If
I want to get back in there.
So
where are we going?
This question is, if you could pick anybody in history, any 4 people in history, with the caveat of one of them being a musician, and invite them to dinner and just have a conversation, who are you bringing to that dinner table?
Wow. I definitely, I'm fascinated since I've done the anthem. I'm fascinated with a lot of great documentaries on Netflix right now.
I've been watching those. I watched Washington.
I loved it. And wasn't that great though? I thought it was so good.
I'm trying to think.
He's one you just know like a lot more about Lincoln because it's closer history plus of what he did for, stuff that's more.
Well, in Pennsylvania, he's Gettysburg Address. So
slavery. Yeah.
Right.
But Washington is one you just know that he's our founding father, and but to find out who he was and the integrity, and I mean they wanted to make him a king. He had no interest,
and he didn't want to be a king.
No, just wanted to be.
He didn't even want to be president.
No, he didn't. He just wanted to farm. And even King George said he's the most powerful man there is because he doesn't want to be president or king. He's got everybody. They just love him, and that takes a lot. I mean, just think how that power you had back then, and then to turn that down for the sake of the future of a country. So I loved it, and the actors in there. I love how documentaries now are they're not dependent on the different experts or the narrators. They really great actors in these things too. So Washington would be one. Muhammad Ali. He fascinates me like Elvis does. I mean, a whole different way, but just bigger than life. And again, the beginning of that kind of movement, to have that kind of gift, and then that kind of brazenness, and an incredible vocabulary, and to speak like that, so proud, and he had his flaws. I mean, we all do, but I thought he was amazing. He to me was huge. So he's another one. Kind of picked Elvis already, didn't I? Used him in another story, but maybe not Elvis. Let me think here. There's some. Oh, Chris Christopherson. He's one of my
an actor and a musician. Look at that.
Yeah, I just killed 2 birds with one stone. No, as a musician though, I just loved his writing, and as an actor, what a charisma he had as well. But I just loved he was such a totally diverse kind of guy. He was a Rhodes Scholar, and I think he was a pilot. He was a war veteran, and then this amazing just writer. And he wasn't a great singer, but his sound again lent itself to.
Well, he ended up in the Highwaymen with all of those profound country slash. And in one of my favorite movies of all time, Blade.
Oh yeah. Blade. He was in that. Yep. I loved him in Star Is Born. I was fascinated with that, with he and Barbra Streisand, and he held his own with her. And she's pretty powerful on screen, but he played a great rock star with that voice, like a Joe Cocker kind of, but just very charismatic, and just wrote some great songs. I mean, Why You'd Even Try, Sunday Morning Sidewalk, and anyway, he's somebody else I'd love to meet. And he passed, so I can't do that. That's right.
You still have a DeLorean though, so
I got the DeLorean, so I can do what I want. Let's see, and what else? I guess I'd love to meet Elon Musk. He's fascinating, but he's probably an alien. So I'm
He
not
might be
sure.
from the same planet as Elvis.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think he's probably not one of us. I think so. Whatever planet he's from, I want to go to check it out.
Kiss played in a bay in Australia to sharks, except Paul Stanley, he was sick. And Metallica has played in Antarctica. My friend Jazz has played one of his original songs at the South Pole. What is a non-traditional venue that you would like to pull out some equipment and play at?
Huh. The Russian Tea Room in New York City.
Here's what brought this question on, and it's New York. When I was on that bus tour that I told you about earlier in New York, we were in wow, the big park. Why can't I think what it's called?
Central Park.
Thank you, Central Park. And there's like this, like a bridge in the park.
Yeah.
And there was someone under it singing a cappella, and it was just so beautiful, and just using the natural reverb. And then we also came across just a band just playing as we were walking through the park. So that's actually where that question came from, is New York.
I see. Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. One I don't have a great answer for yet. Yeah, like on the top of a building, like let's say it's a good building I could sing on top of, like the Beatles did. Get a good crowd, but non-traditional.
Van Halen did that in New York.
Maybe I'll sing it on top of the White House. I don't know. I don't know if I can get on that dome.
I think you might want to get permission first.
Yeah, don't set out on my own adventure. Go through the authorities. I do want this song to get to Trump, though. I do.
So one more, kind of along the same lines. This question I asked a band from Denton, Texas first. They were called Diesel Beast. They were a metal band, clearly. But the question is, if you could play anywhere in the world with and open for any musician in the history of the world, where would you want to play and with who? And while you're thinking, I'll just real quick. Their answer was they wanted to play at Stonehenge with Dio, which is pretty amazing answer. And I said something along the lines, well, maybe that's why Stonehenge is there. You have to press the rocks in a certain order, and then Dio shows up.
Right. That's pretty cool, Stonehenge. That Australian amphitheater would be something else. That strange looking one. I don't even know what it's called. And let's see, with who? Maybe I'll go down to Australia, and I'll open for Keith, and then no, I won't do that. That's
you could bring AC/DC in.
What?
Isn't AC/DC from Australia? Or at least one of them, I think.
Yeah, I think they are, or at least, yeah. I don't know. I mean, a big group. We talked about Aerosmith in the last one, and that'd be a great show to be a part of. With Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler is another guy that, like, if you listen to his voice and you're looking at it objectively, he's not a great singer, but because he's not a great singer, it's great, if that makes sense. Like, It's so unique.
Yeah. That's funny, because I think of him as a really good singer with that crazy, that sound of his. But who I would say what you just said about is Mick Jagger.
Yes, that's true too.
That's all attitude, I mean,
and someone else that we have also talked about through this evening, but it's not going to be in this recording. Paul Stanley is another one. He just has a unique voice, and not what you would say. That's the guy. Like Freddie Mercury, right. That's the guy.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's funny. I told you I saw in our last interview that y'all missed. I told
they're all going to be like, what happened in that one?
I know. I saw Kiss play last year, and like I said, and what was so funny about Paul Stanley, he's got that voice, but when he stops singing, when he speaks, he sounded like, it was funny, like an old Jewish mother. It was like, right, y'all. How y'all doing out there? So it was
Well,
the same voice he sings with, but he still talked the same way. Y'all doing okay?
and he still has that New York accent on the Brooklyn
Yeah,
accent
yeah,
on top of
it
it.
was very. That's what it is. A very
Yeah.
Jewish New York mother.
Yeah.
That's who I thought I was being talked to by.
So tell us a little bit about the song. Sometimes when I do this, I'm like, this is your MTV or VH1 moment. And sometimes the people I'm interviewing are much younger and have no idea what I'm talking about because those stations, VH1 doesn't really exist anymore. And
Right.
MTV also disappeared. But do as storytellers. Tell us about the song, how it came about, and a little bit of a story behind it.
Yeah. Well, I was writing this song. I was writing another song at the time, and I was stuck. And I just was frustrated. And I do what normal people do. Then you go to your phone and you start scrolling, doom scroll. And the first thing I saw was this baseball cap with America 250. It's the official baseball cap, I guess. And I'm not even a cap guy. And I was like, I got to have that cap. And so I bought it online. And then I put that song away that I couldn't get anywhere with to go to the gym to kind of, get my frustrations out. And on the way there, that started ruminating in my mind, this America 250. And I thought, it's too bad you didn't you didn't get an anthem done. You weren't thinking about it. It's America's 250th. What's wrong with you? And so I just thought, in faith, I just said, let's try to sing one now. I mean, let's just come up with an idea. And I blurted out almost the chorus as it is. I was like, who's proud they're from the USA? And I was like, that's good. And then I came up with like almost the whole three other lines in the car, and so I ran home after I worked out. I recorded what I had just sung on my phone, ran home, put that other song away, started writing this one, and it took me about 2 days to get the whole body of it. And then I drove down to Florida to my mom's here and finished it like in 3 more days. I really wanted to tweak it to where it was really a patriotic, like not us against them. Like I wanted to talk about things that are happening now, but unite. Like we're in the greatest country ever. And we're fussing over the worst things, stupidest stuff. So I just wanted to word it in a way that was, I mean, I know it was pointed. There's some pointed areas that are, but it's still very just a inspirational song, I think. And I'm just so happy. It's the best thing I've ever written in my mind. I have some friends and, fans that'll disagree, but to me, it's so timely and it's big. It's bigger than me. And I think it really has potential to be like an anthem that lasts for a long time. I love God Bless the USA, but this one's more current, and it's more what we're dealing with. And it's still very inspirational. And musically, it's just production wise, it's just brilliant. My producer, Stefan.
That's what I was going to ask you about when I said now there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about bringing him back into the fold.
Yeah. So he's the one that when I started my first demos, when I first started writing in LA, we lost touch when I moved to Nashville. And then, one of the great things about Facebook is you find people again. And so, of course, we friended each other eventually. And, so you follow kind of each other. And then I had written this anthem for the Blue Angels, which they're based out of Pensacola. And that's an aerial acrobatic team. And
I have seen them in Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
Have you?
I have it at an air show multiple times, actually.
Yeah.
That's where Arnold Palmer is from, for those of you that are golf fans.
Yeah, they travel. They do all, they fly everywhere in Nashville, and they train out in California, Miramar. I think that's right. But anyway, so I wrote this anthem, and it was huge. Like I knew it had to be big, and I thought, Stefan, I haven't talked to him in years, but he's perfect to do this. And so he did it. And it was amazing, and everybody loved it. And then he ended up moving to Nashville, and so then we worked together on an album. And so when this came up, I, ran to him because I wrote it in May, like middle of May. And so I thought, I want to get this out by July 4th. So I ran to him and we worked on it, and and it just turned out exactly. And this one I had a real vision for. I mean, he actually was like, wait, you want to do this in the bridge? And this thing is going right now. I was like, no, I want to use a DeLorean and go back in time to 1776 for this section. Because I wanted to recognize, how we got here. And so we go, it's almost a dream kind of thing with a bunch of oohs, a wall of oohs, and then it goes into a fife and drum kind of thing with the flutes and the drum, snare drum. And then I wrote these two lines that I wanted to do something kind of like Thomas Jefferson would have maybe written in the Declaration of Independence. So those two lines in the bridge were inspired to sound like that, like what a gift we have that was once just a dream, And then I brought the last line brings it into current day, like all the lives that have, we've lost to have this freedom. So anyway, then he got on board once he understood it, and it just adds to the whole production too, I think. And but it's very exciting, and a lot of stuff's happening now. It's on radio nationwide, and I've got, I'll be probably doing a radio tour soon. I'm looking to find sponsors. I think it's just perfect for American-made products. For commercials. I mean, it'd be a great truck commercial, beer commercial, jean commercial.
What's funny is when and even the first time we did this, you were mentioning these, I can see the Wrangler commercial. I can see a Chevy truck commercial.
Yeah.
Which was Chris Christopherson.
And I actually, and that the video's kind of, I'll tell you a quick story here. I sent it to the people who did my Blue Angel video, which was more of a graphic video. And they're in Europe. I don't know what I was thinking. It's an American song, and they did a wonderful job on my Blue Angel song, but they sent back, it was just like they had no concept of. And so I sent it to another girl that I worked on another song with, and I decided I was going to do the storyboard, and she could do the AI and she was fine with that. So I storyboarded that whole thing, and so I knew the visuals I wanted. And so I did a verse and chorus, and then I'd send it to her, and then she'd send it right back to me later that evening. And it was just perfect. I mean, each section. So it ended up taking 3 days once I got involved, and she was on board. And I'm so happy with the video. It's beautiful.
And here on the video side of the show, we are going to play the video. But if you're listening on radio, you're going to have to go track it down, which you can do at woodybradshaw.com. Look, I almost sounded pro there for a moment.
Yeah, please go see it. Go check it out. And follow me on at woodybradshaw.com, and also follow me on my Facebook page, which is Woody Bradshaw Music. And you can follow what I'm doing and where I'm going to be touring hopefully soon. And I've got some shows here in Pensacola, Florida in September and October. So you can check those out online as well.
So I told you we were going to be shorter. We're like at the exact same time we stopped the second try.
We're to be trusted. Luckily, I'm enjoying myself.
So we are going to stop here. As long as my audio worked, you are going to hear this version, and here at the end, you're going to hear the track and check out the video. And once again, head to woodybradshaw.com, and then head to musicfrom412.com and buildascene.com for your music needs. And Woody, thank you again for hanging out with me so long today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Didn't matter. Seriously. That wasn't a problem. I enjoyed hanging with you. And I hope this one, I don't know if this is going to be as good as the first one, but hopefully it's okay.
Okay. So I'm going to press stop. We're going to make sure it worked. Everybody else, make sure you tune into the next episode.